What up, everyone?
Oh,
Are you there?
I am now.
This looks good.
What is going on? Welcome to episode 3. Kind of a little disheveled today because I'm also trying to do a build while we talk at least. Because I got my Haven 65, I saved it for today. So you may need to jump on my end or keep it open to see the other view, the top-down view.
Something like that.
And yeah, okay.
What's on the list today? What are we talking about?
We have the PSA from Mexico. And
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about just keyboard releases before delivery, like new keyboards.
Okay.
'Cause we've been seeing this a lot lately, just in reference to companies that...
Yeah, I can totally get you. Had some experiences with that. With some group buys I'm in, which is just a little frustrating to see. Efforts that are not going into fulfilling, keyboard that I purchased, and instead are being, put into another keyboard when I still haven't received mine from 2 years ago. Geist. I don't think man, but that work one is so good. Thank you, Assassin, for the follow. Yeah, can't hear wired in. Oh, you can't. No. Do I need to turn you up? Maybe I need to turn you up some. Can't.
Oh, no, it's my fault. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you should be able to hear me on my stream now. I had the mic muted on my end. I don't know.
Thank you, Night Skeptic, for the follow. Good now? Okay, so I turned you down a little bit. That's why. Because you were in, like, the reds.
No, I don't think... I think it was because on my end I'm muted. Like on my stream, so maybe he was talking about my end. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah, so where were we? Yeah, so I mean, well, first I want to pull up this PSA from Mexico because I think it adds a lot to what we were talking about last week, just in reference.
One second, bro. Bro said I have a lot of white noise. Let me turn down my fan.
Off to a great start today. Assassin is saying I'm low on your end, so maybe turn me up or turn up your desktop audio.
Does that sound better? Do I have a whole bunch of... Okay, let me turn my mic down.
Assassin
Oh, wait,
is saying
no, I
I'm
know
low
why.
on... Yeah.
Okay, there's the issue. I had the wrong mic on. It was like my face cam mic. So I think pulling from my camera.
Am I still low, Assassin, or volume good now?
Yeah, that should be fixed now. Yeah, that was not good. I had the completely wrong mic on.
Yeah, all this stuff. We figured out a lot though. Just before stream, I would say pretty much every stream we learn something new, right?
It's always just a bit
before
scuffed.
Today's stream. We just figured out how to, if anybody's wondering, you can actually use OBS as a virtual camera, but you can select the source. So now we figured out how to actually directly live stream our own face cam without having to route it through Discord, which should make things a little clearer.
Yeah, it was,
Hey, Chris, huge fan.
appreciate that, Killer. Yeah, it's been a journey here this whole stream, but I think we got it looking perfect now.
You're getting a little robot on me though for some reason.
Getting a little robot on you. Thank you, Agliston, for the follow. One second, let me go get my little bits real quick.
Yeah, thank you as well, Allison, for the follow. So, how does the top down look? So this is the top down I'm going to be doing for now because I need to buy a long enough USB-C wire. But I got the Haven 65 hoping to build today, which
What up, plastic
I'm
bits?
a little bummed out about because my battery's running low already on the top down, and when you're trying to get 100 things ready, the simplest things is what you forget.
Thank you, Juice Fam.
You know?
Appreciate the follow, Jim. And soundtrack.
Yeah, let me pin.
Do you have any screws in here? Yeah, so we're gonna pull up a little bit of the Reddit post that Cobert released. I'm gonna put that up on my phone.
Let me just.
Reddit.
How do I pin this shit? There we go. Okay.
Cobert. So for everyone who doesn't know what I'm doing, I've had like no screws in the F1 for the longest time, so I'm just replacing all the screws here. So we can get going on what Cobert announced.
Yeah, do you think I'm just pulling it out?
Okay. Yeah, he said,
Wait.
I have it pulled up on my phone. Per last update, modders from Geek Hack, Mechanical Keyboards, and Mech Market, Mech Group Buys, they've all been trying to, get in communication with Chris and Mike from Mix & Co, but they've gone radio silent. So it's basically like the last update, because they've already closed their whole website and everything. I believe earlier this month. Thank you, Kono, for the follow. From what we were told, Chris wasn't even called with the lawyer, only Mike was. Since the call with the lawyer, there's been zero communication from Mix & Co. Despite our best efforts and the generous offers from other vendors, we were unable to secure any delivered products that customers had paid for. So I assume that means like all the in-stock items that were also paid that they also had, even if you bought them, you weren't able to get those as well. So they were just recommending, or Cobert was recommending a chargeback for any orders, as it looks like they're just not going to deliver anything from here on out.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear from them just ghosting everyone that they're planning on skipping with the money, right? Like,
well, they don't have any, but yeah.
Well, skipping on customers' money, but
yeah.
Or trying to rather, but it looks like they're in communications with an attorney. Like I said, it's probably to file bankruptcy. I wouldn't get hopes up like that you're gonna get a response that you want. But I think if there was any good news that came out of it was that they didn't want to pay import fees on stuff they already paid for. So it looks like a lot of that merchandise is getting sent back to the manufacturer, to the vendor. So if anybody was waiting for some group buy stuff that was actually produced and then sent to Mexico, Mex & Co., it looks like it may go back to the original vendor, who may be able to deliver it to customers. The only problem is getting that customer list of who purchased. People are probably going to have to show receipts. That's going to be a nightmare for the original vendor as well, or the original manufacturer as well, to have to handle all of that labor and deal with all that. So this is just going to be an ongoing issue that's going to be going on for quite a while. And not to beat a dead horse, the thing that I think really just concerns me is the impact it has on the hobby and the community, right? We're just going to see more distrust than we've been seeing.
For sure.
Good fuck ton of people, close to 200.
Oh, I was I asked him how the meet was. He went to the Chicago meetup. That's one of the things we'll also look at. So
200 people. Yeah, that was another thing we wanted to talk about.
Bull was also there.
Oh, Bull went?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not even too far from me. Maybe I should have tried to go
How far is that?
Yeah, it's like a 2-hour flight. Not even. Hour and a half. How let me see actually. How long is a flight from New York to Chicago?
Ow, that hurt.
2.5 hours.
That's not bad.
How long would it take me to get down to you?
Probably like 34. I'd assume.
Oh, yeah, close to 4 hours. Actually, not that bad. That's not a bad flight. I think to California it was 6 hours, which now that I think about it, is actually not that.
Yeah, I know Sneakbox went because he's from Dallas, so he usually helps organize all the Dallas meets, which I thought was pretty cool to see him there.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't hear of any New York meets. You would think like there would be. I always hear about Texas, a lot. Texas, California, never New York, unless I'm just missing them. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. We can
Maybe
go
it's just
over.
like-
I know. Oh, he said there's a New York meet this weekend.
Really? Where?
Literally yesterday,
There
bro.
was yesterday. Shit, the 29th. It passed. God.
I assume all the New York ones are done pretty close to New York City, no?
Bro, I'm 30 minutes from the city.
Yeah. I don't know how big the state of New York is.
Well, the state of New York is tremendous, but I live in. When people say they're from New York, they usually mean they're from where I'm from, right? Like Brooklyn, Long Island, the city. When people say they live in like New York, but they're like upstate or something, they usually say like northern New York or upstate New York.
Yeah, I know there was Seattle, and there's also, I think, Arizona. There was an Arizona meetup. And maybe San Antonio. I think there might have been a San Antonio meetup. And then I think next weekend there's also an Austin meetup.
Yeah, so I mean, remember last week we were talking about like, I think even in private we were talking like worried about, hey, like, you know, where is the community at? But honestly, with all these meetups, I think it's in a healthy place. People are putting stuff together. There's lots of movement, especially like what we
200
saw
people is not like
purchase.
200 people is like not a small like event.
Hell no,
It's not like
that's
a get
huge.
together.
Yeah,
Okay,
for a
I found
hobby, that's fucking crazy.
Well, it's one every
And,
month. Okay.
Especially something that's like, you know, like more localized, because there's so many different meetups. It's not like there's like one per year that everybody goes to and there was 200 people there. There's like 50 going on and 200 at one random one. Chicago meet had 137 giveaway items. It was insane.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
that
gave away
looks-
like probably like what 10, 15 items. So at the Chicago meet.
All right, so let me see if I could actually.
A lot of artisans. I always love a good artisan.
Were there a lot of
quality.
artists there? Interesting. What would you say was like the most that you saw there? Like in terms of like, was it keyboards, artisans? Would you say
Lubed-
artisans was like the most?
Lubed will not be at the NK meetup, but Lubed will be at Keeb Life, which I'd argue is more important because I'm not a big fan of the East Coast. I just don't like East Coast people.
Fuck you. East Coast? What do you rep as like a Texan? What is it? Like, you know, you West Coast, you have West Coast, East Coast, what is Texas?
Dude, we're just like mutts, you know?
South?
Like we have a little bit of both. I guess we are South, yeah. We're just South. We are South.
You're Southern but not Southern at the same time.
Yeah, oh, we hate Texas? Okay. That's fine.
Look at this box. Did anybody see this box? Like, if anybody jumps onto my
Here, I can I'll make it dual
wants to
cam.
open. Yeah, wants to open my stream really quick to see the top down. Look at this box.
Show us the box on your webcam if you can too.
I'll try, but just click the pin. I mean, you can see the whole.
And buy your products too. No, I love all the East Coast people too. It's just my excuse because I'm not going, so I have to like have some sort of hatred for the East Coast.
We should at least consider a box like this for the Pro Tag. I think it's a little too much with the draw and everything. I think because of the style of our board.
You know, one thing I found,
should
like
probably make it a
hidden
little
compartments, like the hidden compartments on the Type 60. I don't know if you remember, like the blockers. I had so many people like, "Where are the blockers? Where are the blockers?" And it's because there was a
that's not
hidden.
good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like you know, I don't want to say the word, but I opened this and it has a drawer, and right away I was like, "Where's my PCB?" And
Yeah.
meanwhile, There's a
This dude can
freaking
never
tab
find
with
his
the
PCBs.
drawer right here.
So, you want to get a little bit more on topic?
Yeah.
I don't know what else there is to add to really the Mexico drama besides like, you just gotta file a charge back and then hope you get your money back. I did see Colbert say like you gotta escalate it with a manager, because I'm sure there'll be like some and like show proof that Mexico actually did close their doors. I'm sure it'll help just expedite the whole process.
Where is I was gonna ask you. Well, I think the more important conversation is a nice plate. I think the more important conversation is just the impact on the community. I was gonna say, where is Cobra tonight?
Well, I'm sure he might be with his family or something.
Usually he's on.
Bob says, I'm crossing my fingers GMK does something with NTD that was paid for. Doubt they'll sit on it. I mean, they literally have to, right? They can't just, if it's paid for, I'm sure there's not gonna, like, refund everyone, like, refund all the vendors and just cancel the project, because they can't, like, refund Mexico. So...
Thank you for the follow, Night Skeptic.
Yeah, Kim, could you please take care of that for me? How are you doing, Kim? Let me get the top down back on. There we go. I don't know how to get this.
I like this color. Can you see? Let me show you so you can see this plate. I like this color.
Is it just like that space gray?
Yeah, I don't think it's as nice as the almost black that we're doing, but it's kind of like it's like silver but not silver. I don't know. It's nice.
It's just because Wired makes his whole personality Eastern Standard Time.
Well, that's the only time zone that matters,
It's my point.
I just get like euphoric over anything new. Every time I get something new, I'm just like, wow, it's the greatest thing ever. Like,
no,
especially
that is some good packaging.
A new keyboard, right? Like, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then like 3 hours later, I'm already in like buying something, another one. I think I'm just gonna do PE foam and that's it. Fuck the rest of this shit.
Yeah, they can't. There's literally just a waste of shipping money to ship it to Mexico. I'm sure they'll be closing their warehouse down soon if they haven't already.
What, Mexico warehouse?
Yeah, like there's no way they could even if they did ship it to Mexico, they would just get shipped right back.
I wonder if they got booted, or I would imagine they're probably getting evicted. I'm sure they're not paying.
Yeah,
rent.
I'm sure they are too.
You know what? That also brings up actually an interesting topic we were talking about in private as well before we even move on. Is we were talking about, we're not going to name the company, but we were wondering if another company is on its way out because of the way that they promote, etc. And Chris brought up a good point, was like, if they do it as a side business or a side hustle, they're probably not going to go out of business. But if they do it as if it's their main source, it's a great possibility. And I think that's like a good way to kind of tell. I think it's important to kind of notate, like, is this a company that this is what they do, right?
I think you banned
like,
it
they're
for
not
the fall.
doing anything else.
Well, I mean,
They're not doing anything else besides keebs, and they're in a particular niche. Obviously, you can't look at like a website like Loobed Switches or B2C markets. Well, I'm just saying, like, that have like a ton of products that they're offering. Obviously, they're doing well, revenues up. Like, there's customers, they're engaging with their community. There's new products. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about like companies that have like maybe one or two things that they're selling. They look rather small or niche, just have like one particular item within the keyboard hobby that they sell. But their engagement on Instagram isn't the best. They seem to be putting a lot of sales, right? Like reducing prices of their items a lot. Like you see a lot of like 30% off, 40% off, right? I kind of feel like when that stuff happens, it's important to kind of just look at the writing on the wall, especially if you're as a consumer contemplating spending your money on a group buy or a pre-order, right? Like, just be weary of that shit. At least in my opinion, that's like, because like right now, everybody's nervous, but people still want stuff that's releasing. So just, I don't know. It's not foolproof. It's not a foolproof method of protecting yourself. Obviously, you see big companies like Mexico and big, places with big relationships that seem to be doing fine. But
what up, Lydia? We're getting political. Appreciate the kind words. Dude, I'm too lazy to go get my Allen, so I'm just gonna use my tweezers until it gives out. Knight says, I'm not saying I would rob Mexico property, but I'm also not saying that I'm not thinking about it. Dude, if you while you're at it,
mask up, bro. I'm ready.
if you don't mind, could I please get like a GMK red alert? Like, I'll pay you like 50% of retail price for it.
Should I have done the brass or should I have done the PVD? I think the brass looks pretty good.
I don't.
Can you see?
The brass over. I'm usually like a PVD type of guy.
I'm like pointing at the wrong camera, forgetting this is the face cam.
What up, Tristan?
I kind of wish I did the PVD, but I kind of feel like the brass is pretty dope too. I like the contrast.
I'm just so sad tiramisu will just be... Stream needs more Discord pings? Wait, what do you mean, more Discord pings? I'm trying to...
I'm missing the meme there.
With pretty metals, for sure. Worth a potential felony theft charge? Oh, are they from New York, too?
Wait, Chris, they can hear your Discord pings, bro.
Oh.
That's why. Are you getting blasted on DMs or something?
Dude, I probably am. I could probably just go to my mixer and then mute that. I was like, we need more... Dude, I was so confused. Like, we need more Discord pings. Do not disturb. I don't even know how to do that. Sometimes I go to sleep with like the Discord just blasting the notifications on my speakers. Is it streamer mode that disables pings? Okay, I'll just put on streamer mode. Here we go. Discord has literally thought of everything. Right click your profile picture. Okay, I think we're good now. There should be no more pings. Damn, you guys, like, I'm like so immune to it now. Like, I don't even hear like half the pings. I think this is the wrong. I need to look up. Are you using OBS or? I'm using OBS. F1 8X screw kit. You're looking, dude. I'm so sorry. You're thinking like your PMs are popping, but they're not. So it looks like I need a M3 12mm. Yeah. So for the longest time, I actually had like streamer mode on, and I didn't even know. And it was just, I was wondering why everyone's name was like that. I'm so sorry. It's not a bad troll though. So I need. Okay, so where's? I think this is the 12mm. Do you wanna? Oh, you're muted. These are smaller. I'm just trying to figure out which screws to use because I don't know which one are 12mm. I even look at the name and I'm like, oh, that's me. After I look at it for 10 minutes. Is that why you? Is build, dude? There's no build. I'm just trying to get all the screws in this F1. Yeah. What board is this? This is the F1. Maybe I should get my calibers to see like what length these are. Be right back. Also, how does the stream look, everyone? Does it look crisp? Because I went through hell and back to get this Camlink Pro installed today. I hope. I'm also streaming at 10,000 bit rate, so I don't know if that's gonna like increase like the quality. This is also, I guess they measure it from here. The thread size, so this is 12mm. I don't know where I put my what you call it. That's crazy high bit rate. I had it at, so you're doing great. Okay. I had it at 6,000, but Warden told me to increase it, so I did. Dude, this is gonna be really annoying if I can't find this bit for it. Be right back. Surely this is the highest Twitch allows. Okay, so the 10,000 that I'm doing is kind of irrelevant anyways. Yeah, because I see right here on OBS that I'm streaming at 6,000 anyways. Like it's fluctuating a little higher or lower. Dude, you're muted. Or is that what streamer mode does? I'm just gonna turn off streamer mode. Hello? Dude, I cannot hear you, but your green thing is lighting up. This is not good. Like your green. I don't know why I can't hear. Oh, because I have his Discord thing. I'm so sorry. It's because I muted Discord in the mixer so you guys wouldn't hear the notifications. But then, are you there now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, dude, I'm so sorry. I was trying to get rid of the Discord pings. And
I was like, dude, am I talking to myself? Why does he keep interrupting?
Yeah, so I got, dude, I was like, I thought you muted yourself because I muted Discord so that you guys couldn't hear the pings, but then I had streamer mode on anyway, so it was like redundant.
All right, I talk to myself all the time anyway.
Yeah, that's like half. Like anytime you call me, that's basically what happens anyways. To me,
I was answering Sterling too, and you couldn't hear me.
Dude, you're just getting, man, you're going through it. So Captain Sterling says, to me, your face cam has a lot more contracts. Yeah, because it does. I have a different, like, I changed the colors on the top down, but I need to do it to the face cam. So you're definitely right in that regard.
I got to show you how to use LUTs. That'll
yeah.
help you. Because
not all of us can be. Yeah, exactly. Not all of us can spend 20K.
Yeah, I did the Sterling. I did C-Lock 2 and then used the LUT on it, so it gives a little bit of a better grade. You on your Sony, I think you have S-Log 3 or whatever, and there's some pretty good LUTs you could just grab that'll give you a little bit more muted or more realistic tones, you know, skin tones and shit. How's my face cam though? Is it good?
You just want to compliment. You know it's good. Anyways,
no, I'm being serious because mine wasn't clear before. I gotta figure out a way to plug this in. I think I'm just.
Twitch allows up to 8K bitrate. It's just not documented. Okay.
That's what they say, but I tried it. Like they say you can like sneak in 8K or like 10K, but I tried doing it once, and then like the stream would go like on off on off. From my understanding, if you are partner, if you get to a partner level, which is a little harder to do nowadays, they like raise your bitrate. Like you're able to like stream at like 10K, 15K. But the fact that YouTube allows straight up like 50K without any partnership or anything just shows that Twitch definitely has the bandwidth. They should just allow it. Like it's just ridiculous at this point.
Oh, it goes to
no
top case.
4K streaming either is ridiculous.
4K streaming is pretty gnarly. You added a profile picture. We're getting cinematic here. What do you mean? We're getting.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna throw my top-down camera battery on the charger. Try to get that back going. Give me a sec.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the new. We're gonna get. I need one of those like 2023 setup vlogs. You know what I mean? Like I want a 2023 house tour on the YouTube. Oh, dude, Tristan, I just need you to come over, bro, and get all this shit figured out for me, bro. This is too much for my head to handle. Twitch has some weird gatekeeping throughout its history. When I signed up, it was at a time where there was essentially making it a lottery. So for years it stuck at 720p regardless for reaching affiliates. Wow, okay.
Twitch has had some weird... Yeah, they have like the strangest gatekeeping for sure. There really is no reason for them not to have 4K streaming at this point as well. There's like no excuse for it.
That's a little bit like I don't know how how difficult that task is. So that's beyond me. I'm just here, bro.
Well, I mean, dude, come on. They've like been around for so long. They're the leading platform. They're on Amazon servers.
Oh yeah, they do use Amazon Web Services, huh?
Yeah, and other streaming platforms that are using the same services are already doing 4K streaming, etc. So there's no excuse for it. I think without discoverability, Twitch would have been dead already. Probably shouldn't talk bad about Twitch while we're on Twitch, right? If we want partner, but the discoverability and the comfortability, like between people, like the preferred platform for most people, like Twitch is still it. But I don't know if that's gonna last forever.
Captain Sterling said they offered him.
Yeah. I'll take that kick deal. Yo, I'll gamble on stream for a good 10 mil a year. You know.
Dude, I would too.
I'll be a Gambo.
Dude, our in-stock drops would go crazy. New in-stock keyboard every other week.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so this one is just too long. Here, I'll try to get it in frame for you guys. I'm just trying to find the right screws. This is so annoying. Kick just throwing around money. Dude, they sponsored F1. Like the Alfa Romeo car today. So if you watch the F1 race, like it actually had like XQC and like 2 other streamers tagged like on the camera. It was sick.
Well, they got that stake money, you know.
Yeah. I want a piece of it.
I'm not even hating. I like what they're doing. More competition, bro. Bring it. Especially with how bold and pompous like Twitch streamers be getting when they like pulled up the ladder behind them after being pretty grimy in the original. Like I know.
Talk about gambling. Yeah. So they actually had their sponsorship around the car, but then they had the streamers tagged like on the halo of the car, which I just thought was sick.
That is pretty fly, not gonna lie.
Yeah, so whenever they have like basically the POV of not the POV, but like the camera on top of the car today, it had like the 3 streamers on it.
Well, at least they're promoting their streamers and not banning them, you know.
Turns it over on ignition. Yeah, Alfa Romeo's not even hot in F1 either, so I think we found the right screws. We're in business now. Okay, what's next on the list for topics while I had you muted for a good 30 minutes?
Well, we were just talking about like keyboards in general. I want to talk more about it anyway, but so I think what we've been seeing lately is obviously we talked about like the oversaturation of the hobby. Is it oversaturated? Is it good for the hobby that we're seeing a lot more and a lot new stuff come out? A lot of stuff being promoted on Instagram, etc. But I think there is a problem with this it feels very like Bernie Madoff to me. Super pyramid scheme to me. The fact that we have companies, quote unquote, that haven't even delivered a product yet, not one product, and they're already on like their 3rd group buy. Like in the era that we're in, where tensions are already high and people are already skeptical, I just don't know how this doesn't get more attention than it does. So I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's fair that people do that? Do you think that they're doing that to pay back money that they lost in the original group buy?
When you say that, like, you're basically like you're talking about these companies where it's like their first group buy, correct? Like their first product they've really released, and
well, they haven't released it, right? Like they did a group buy, ran a group buy. Oh, this board's amazing. Now we're a year and a half in, the board has not been delivered, and they're already like, yo, check out V2.
Yeah, so I can kind of get like the whole like designer aspect of it. Like, you know, as a designer, when you have like the ability to just keep designing like prototypes and stuff like that, it's fun, right? You know, like you know what it's like. You just want to keep releasing, you just keep designing new boards and new boards. But I think there does come an extent where like it's been 2+ years since, almost 2 years since you've you ran a Groupon, you still haven't delivered on that product. I do think it's a little absurd to keep releasing new products, especially when there's been little to no updates. I think it's, people want to see their products and see how good these boards are before they really able to. I think it's a bad look, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think there's a certain boldness to doing that is a little rude. Do you think it has any less bearing, or like is it not as bad if the company is giving consistent updates about the original product?
It's just, if you have like consistent updates, I don't personally, because I haven't like dealt with it on like a back end thing, I don't know what it's like to take two years to deliver a product. Like, we don't have chip shortages like we did during COVID. We don't have like menus going like, we don't have the same issues we did during COVID. So it's just so hard to like understand why a board is taking this long. Knight did say, isn't there a geek hack rule where you're not allowed to run 3 IC/group buys at any time without a track record?
There are rules like that in place, but it feels like, I don't know, it feels like some companies are kind of allowed to skirt this rule, man, because I don't know, I hope they do have that rule, and if they do, that's great. That's a great rule. But I just keep seeing it. I'm trying, like, obviously I'm avoiding naming names here because I really don't want to cause any issues or drama, and I don't mean it. I don't mean anyone any ill will, If I was to like put a company on blast, I would want to do some like significant research on it first before I call anybody out by name. But it does kind of rub me the wrong way when you see this, and especially if you see like these new renders for this like round 2 or version 2 of the keyboard, and it looks like it's like super intricate, and it's going to cost a fortune to manufacture, and the board is going to be super expensive. At least that's what we realize, being on the back end and developing a board ourselves. You kind of see that, and that's going to be the case, and you haven't even delivered a product yet. Not one product. I kind of feel like this is the only industry in which you're allowed to just not release anything and keep collecting money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels so scammy to me.
It does.
What other business can you do that, and still have a reputation?
In the early days, when it was a smaller hobby, I wonder how much profit the runners kept for themselves. My gut tells me little to none. Yeah, I feel like back then it was so like, it was even more just niche, to the point where like these people were so like community focused per se, that like, they're not looking out here to get a quick buck, really.
Dude, take it from somebody who was in the hobbies like since the beginning. When I tell you how many times I tried to I was about to run a group buy, and every single person was like, dude, do not do it. They were like, just don't even do it. It's so much work. You make no money. You get maybe a keycap set out of it. It is an absolute nightmare to deal with. So you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was all fueled by passion. Everybody was just like supporting each other. Nobody was really like making money, or like, especially not what happened during COVID, where people just started making hand over fist tens of thousands of dollars. It was not like that at all then. The only thing I will say is I know one girl who was making custom wrist rests, and she was only accepting Bitcoin. She must have like 300 million Bitcoin or some shit, bro.
She was just trying to avoid taxes. At the end of the day, she was just trying to avoid taxes.
Oh my God, she must be so rich right now, because she would not take anything but Bitcoin. She saw the writing on the wall, I'll tell you that. And it was like fractions then. Fractions.
Captain Sterling said the thing I'm trying to figure out is how all these how there's so many new budget boards of the same layout from different companies, each selling thousands of units. Yeah, I have no clue. It's just like there's
that is so true. Yeah, we were just talking about that, right?
In the early days when it was a smaller hobby, no, I already read that one.
Wait, no, I want to talk about that. How the hell are these companies making money dropping a $150 keyboard? How? I mean, we got quotes on high mock.
Yeah.
And it's not like our board. Look, our board's beautiful. It's definitely premium. But let's say we trimmed it down a little bit. Like, how is they must be making like $20 a keyboard. I just don't get it.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I think we did talk about this. Did we talk about this? No, we talked about this during the Ask Me Anything on Wednesday. But we were talking about the Cycle 7. How there's basically like there's no way they're making money.
Dude,
at
like,
the end of
and
the
I
day.
don't get it either. What does that do for, you know, it's just, and you know what it does? It kills me because while it is good for newcomers, and I do want to see premium products that are affordable for people, the thing that just really bothers me is, like, I feel like it just has such a negative impact on the community as a whole and in the long run, because the expectation just gets driven down and down and down. And instead of innovation and people coming out with something new, and saying this is why we're charging $400 because this is like premium, it's new, we're really, you know, it was fueled by passion. We have other people coming in and just being like, we're just gonna give people the most we possibly can for the cheapest we possibly can, right?
Yeah.
And it stipends, is that the right word? It hamstrings the hobby in a way that I just don't really like.
I'm gonna go and read some of the chat real quick. This is not Crush Orchard. This is actually like a lavender like Anno that I got the board in a while back. QK, Zoom, etc. are their own manufacturers, yeah, which they have their own markets. Don't even communicate with on this side of the world. Yeah, I do. That's why like a lot of their boards, I believe, were like phone boards at the beginning. They relied heavily on phone because that's what their
phone, yeah.
That's what their market is. That's what I'm saying though. How can people say the hobby is oversaturated, but these boards are selling like hotcakes? Like all the, you know, it may not even be like oversaturated.
Boards,
like
though.
it just maybe like there's so many boards nowadays that all kind of look similar. And those are the keyboards that do bad.
I don't think we were really making this statement. If you're talking like about last episode, I don't really feel like we were making the statement that it's oversaturated. Just kind of asking the question. I think the more interesting debate or discussion is like what we're having right now. Like maybe it's not oversaturated. Maybe it's just that we have just uninspired, too many people coming in to gobble up market share by making as little money as possible, and I have no idea, and having no idea how they're pulling that off. But at the same token, just lowering expectations and bringing in a certain consumer base that isn't focused on what we love, right? On the hobby as a whole, on the passion of it all. So
one thing I do kind of like appreciate with budget boards, because you may say like, yeah, they're ruining the hobby, but it is such like, I think there's nothing better than having like a good entry board, because that's what people ask for so long. It's just give us a good, you know, what is back in the day, it was just like a tofu. That was like what you started out with. And I think, you know, on the bright side, you could say, you know, all these budget boards are bringing more people into the hobby. It's making it more accessible. And then, you know, as they go throughout their keyboard journey, they can explore more exclusive group buys and ones that are done with, you know, smaller designers and stuff like that. So maybe it's just another stepping stone.
No, I completely agree to an extent, because I feel like it is good, but when there's too many, it becomes a fine line, right? Like, because I feel like in the long run, what happens is it brings it, there becomes this, it goes from this is a great entry level board, it turns from that to, oh my god, your board is so overpriced.
You're just saying basically the difference between a $200 and $400 board is just, it's decreasing.
Well, right. Well, I don't think it is decreasing, actually. I think there's still a significant difference between these keyboards.
For sure, because you got to cut costs somewhere.
I think the $200, right. I think the $200 keyboards got better, and they're great entry levels. But I also think the fact that people have so many, have easier access to really good manufacturers like DDS, Hantu, right? More and more artists have access to really good designer manufacturers. They can bring their board to market easier. I think that's been really helping out. So I don't think it's so much where the more expensive boards are the diminishing returns is getting slimmer. what I feel is happening is, or the diminishing returns are getting larger. What I feel is happening is the cheaper boards are getting better.
Yeah.
Which on its face is a good thing, but if it's clear that this is an entryway into the hobby, and I think what's happening is that perception is changing from, hey, this is a great stepping stone, this is a great way for me to kind of get involved, to Reddit posts, and we see them, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is overpriced. Oh my god, I see it with my cables sometimes, right? Like, this shit takes me an hour to make each cable, but because someone could get a paracord cable with a Lemo slapped onto it once it's prefabbed and brought into the US, and they can charge $80 instead of $120, the quality is noticeably not as good, but you get these people that reply and say, oh dude, you're overcharging, oh I know your margins, right?
Yeah.
So as long as that's not happening, then I'm cool with it, but I just worry about that is all, you know?
Yeah,
Sorry to go on a
for sure.
rant or whatever.
I think because they're buying so cheap, people buying them. Oh yeah. I do really appreciate how Gion runs his business. I'm not exactly sure how his departure with swag keys all went from like behind the scenes, because you know, Gion stuff was sold on swag keys exclusively prior. Foam also hides bad engineering, so they just throw together some cheap molds or CNC work and throw foam in it. Yeah, that is definitely true.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very true. Yep.
But some people like the foam, you know? I'm not a big foam guy personally, but
Bro, if a board needs foam, it does not stay in my collection. That's the rule.
some consumers only want to buy a budget board once they play with the switches and keycaps. They don't see the need for high-end boards. Yeah, I can also see that. Just like, you know, back in the day, the difference between a Tofu and a $400 board's vastly different than a QK65 and a $400 65%. Really, it's just going to be, you know, weight and material differences and, you know, machining stuff that makes it different.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, I yes, but you see these what was I reading recently? Someone made a Reddit thread and it got pretty popular, talking about like, man, why would I get this board when I can get 6 of these $200 boards? I would much rather that. And the silver lining I saw within this thread was that there was so many upvoted comments of people saying, no, there is a difference. Check it out. And there was so many people being vocal about, hey, I would rather have 4 high-end boards than 8 $200 boards. And that was getting more of the attention. And I like to see that, because that's where the education is in the hobby, is understanding the differences between these boards. And that is still shining. That is still getting the more upvotes. That is still the popular opinion. I just worry that popular opinion is going to change. Captain Sterling said, you know I love my foam sometimes. Don't get me wrong, Sterling, my rule applies to if it needs foam. If it doesn't need foam, but you want to mess with the sound and alter the sound with foam, I do that too. I just think that if a board needs foam, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like if it needs foam to like sound good at all, you know?
I agree with Kim. Captain Sterling says I agree with Kim 100%, because some people pay $100 to $200 is a lot of money, which is true. It's still a ridiculous amount to spend on a keyboard that, you know, functions, you know, more or less the same as a $20 one. But I'm saying I think these people are getting these budget boards will be flowing money back into the hobby and buying caps and switches from vendors. So what's interesting to me is I think you'd actually see more growth in sales from these budget projects. In theory, no. Yeah, I agree with that statement. I was also talking to one of my friends about that, and he's like, you say, like, you know, it might be detrimental to the hobby in a way, but it's also bringing in more people into the hobby, right? Whereas back in the day, you need, let's say, $400 to really get started in this hobby, but nowadays you really just need, you know, $200 and you have a great board.
Yeah, here's the thing, right? Like, you don't want to gatekeep, because it is a lot of money to spend on a keyboard. You don't want to like put someone down for only having $200 to spend on a keyboard. The issue isn't the person who buys the $200 keyboard because that's what they can afford at the moment. They don't have the money, or they can't justify spending $400 because they're not in that financial position. Completely understandable. The issue, it becomes an issue when their purchase, their justification for their purchase becomes objective fact. What I mean by that is when they look at that justification as what everybody else should do, and they start judging other people for spending more on keyboards. I've always been like a live and let live kind of guy. If you got money and you want to spend it on something that other people think is stupid, who cares? It's your money, enjoy it, right? The issue is just when people kind of feel like that their opinion should be the prevailing opinion, and that you're a stupid, quote unquote, for buying an expensive board when a $200 one that exists is almost as good. And you may think that that's a silly opinion and people don't hold it, but I see it. I see people like straight up like arguing. I see people take pictures, straight up copy pictures of my cables, and then they'll go in other discords, paste the picture of the cable and be like, where can I get this for cheaper? And then, you know, make comments about the prices. So I think it's out there, but I agree for the most part, you know.
Bandit says, I think our hobby operates in a way that consumer instant gratification model with the rest of the capital society. So new people come in with perhaps a totally antithetical. I think our hobby operates in a way that is antithetical to mass consumer / instant gratification model of the rest of the capitalist society. So new people come in with perhaps a totally different set of expectations, and then among those people who are businesses and solution minded may try to start an operation to address these issues without understanding the foundation of the hobby and community.
That's a very that's like a exact
Thank you,
perfect
Anubis
summary
Prime,
of
for
what
the follow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect summary of basically what I'm saying, right? They're capitalizing on that desire, and then really not understanding or contributing to the hobby. So I completely agree.
Dude,
that's what I worry about, at least. You know,
we're ready for you. Just feel free to PM me whenever that time comes and we can help you out. I also bought the Envoy 2. Yeah, I think I bought a Sonnet too, even though it's not like a board that I really type on. I definitely bought a Sonnet, and I have the Mode 65 that I got from a friend. So I'll probably pick up the Mode Envoy 2 because I'm also a sucker for those like Cerakoted accents. It's always so much fun to play with like sets and get like a perfectly matched like keyboard and set. I always love doing that.
I think Mode, and I've said this before, and not to kind of stroke them as much as I usually do, I think they're a good example of what we're talking about. A company that is meeting that demand but does have an appreciation for the hobby, right? How many times have they gone to community members to get things done, like they did they had you do the Cerakote, they had what's his name design the keycaps. I think they're meeting that demand for people who want that entry-level keyboard, and I think that's great. And they also obviously have a clear appreciation, and they are clearly keyboard enthusiasts at the end of the day as well.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more of that and less of kind of the QK. Look what we could do for $150, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, I do appreciate what Mode's done for the community. It's super solid board. Yeah, I have yet to. I think I have tried Captain Sterling's briefly at the Austin meet a while ago, and I really do like how, I don't know, Captain Sterling's board was really clacky, and I really do like that sound signature. Hence why I love MX Black so much. Sounds great with or without foam. Yeah, if you want it there. That's what we're also planning on doing with the Pro Tag. You know, it won't come with foam, but if you want to have that option for a relatively affordable price, then that option for foam will be available to you. It's gonna sound great without foam, but we'll be building.
It sounds so good without foam.
Yeah, we'll be building our unit soon once Warden decides to ship our prototype next year.
It's not me. We got PCBs, man. We're still.
I'm just waiting. Yeah, we're just waiting for our custom PCBs to arrive at this point.
Yeah, board is so fly though.
Some people do like the
But
foam.
yeah,
Yep.
the only The only board I own that's under $400 at this point is an Envoy. So.
And the Sonnet, depending on how you spec it, but the starting price is 300.
Yeah, I think mine came out to like a little over 400 with tax.
Yeah, I have the alley weight, so it's like bare minimum. But I have not typed on this F1 for so long. It feels so good to type on it. Just if it didn't have that nasty front height, but other than that, it's just this sound signature is so good. Built with MX Blacks. My Spring is still one of my favorite boards, and it's got all of it. Yeah, I remember you literally like debating on the Spring or Tiramisu, like whenever that first came out, like what, a year and a half ago. That Spring is a really good looking board all around. That cream is, any board in cream, it's really hard to beat.
I know, I'm a sucker for cream too.
Like that cream Pro Tag.
Ooh,
I think it's so good. What else do we have on the list of things that we wanted to do today?
Well, I mean, I think that was pretty much it. We're at the hour, but
Yeah.
I'll keep going for a little longer if you want to.
Yeah, we can go for like another 15-20 minutes. Yeah, I want to Spring. It's such a nice board.
I'm still building this Haven anyway.
You don't need a Spring anymore if Captain Sterling is just 20-minute drive away. I think we all just get that Spring passed around, type on it for a couple days. Above Chris. Oh, where? Is it I think the biggest thing that you're gonna see when the price increases is just better aesthetic and design. I don't think there'll be much difference in sound between low and high end anymore, but budget boards are mostly relatively simple in design compared to anything 400 plus for the most part anyways. But like bro, Cycle 7 has been on my desk for like 2 weeks. It's insane value. Yeah, I didn't read that message.
I mean, nobody's knocking the value. I actually was debating grabbing one just to kind of see.
Yeah, I think we're splitting custody of Sterling Spring involuntarily because I'm forcing it upon him, and I've actually like intentionally like not bought keycaps. That's like because I can just steal Captain Sterling's. That's like the whole benefit of him moving here, right? I get to use his stuff, and he doesn't get to use mine. Not this message. What message? Wait, can you reply to it? It's too big. Which one was it?
Let me scroll up. Yeah, I agree with that 100% because some people 100 to 200 is a lot of. Oh, we read that already. Read my big message above, Chris.
It's not on Discord, is it?
We did read it. The biggest thing you're going to see is the price increases are just.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we
My
just read
volume
this
is
thing.
really low. 1 second. Okay, that should be better.
Wow,
Let me know if my mic is any better.
You're very loud. Lower it
I'm
a little bit.
very loud.
At least on my end.
Good. I need you to hear me. Okay, I did lower it a little bit.
Who should we raid after stream?
I don't even know who's streaming. I have to check.
We can raid probably Gioran maybe.
Yeah, we could. What am I missing? Oh, I think it's. I can't send it in stream. Oh, okay. I'll leak our PMs. I think the biggest thing to remember isn't so much about the price, but more about what this hobby means to some people. This hobby is so driven by art and design, and I think it's hard to put a price on a good piece of art. We need to celebrate the art and design this hobby offers, because I'm sure all of us can agree, even if you can't buy these $600+ boards, you can admire the art and design behind them. It's always a beautiful moment every day for me to open IG and Reddit and see a new stunning design, which I can agree. I literally opened Works Instagram today to a whole new board that's like that carries on that like German engineering aesthetic that they have, but it's just very different and stunning, and I can't wait to even be able to type on that one.
That thing is gorgeous, man.
Yeah. Also, I think in addition to what you said, like, the whole art aspect, I think it's also, the people too, with all these all these meetups that are happening too. I think it's also just so cool. We're able to have these community-driven meetups where we're able to talk to like-minded individuals. I think that's just the coolest thing ever. And you're able to talk to designers, vendors in the community. It's just, it's not like if you're in the car community, you're not just be able to talk to the CEO of Honda, right? Or the people who design the cars and stuff. But like in our community, we're able to talk to everyday people. Will you be headed to Keeb Life in September? Chrissy Poo. Yes, Captain Sterling and I will be headed to Keeb Life in September. Work is just crazy. I could never afford it, but my God, it's beautiful and a work of art. Yeah, like we can both admire, the work that work is doing. That's the reason, why we're all in this community together. It's because we love the art. We love the whole, for the most part, we love everything about the community. And, just like the stream, we're able to, talk to everyone. Thank you, No Name, for the follow.
Yeah, the community aspect of the hobby has always been something that I really liked about it. And that's why I'm just so fearful of losing that charm, right? The fact that you meet so amazing... Like at the end of the day, people have disagreements with politics. People are fighting, or there's always something or some turmoil going on, something going on in the world or whatever, right? But like the hobby itself is a place where people could kind of come together and enjoy something that they love, right? And a big portion of that is the art in it, going on Instagram, right? And seeing what somebody created by themselves and manufactured by themselves, was able to contact someone, a manufacturer, whether it be in China or elsewhere, or do it themselves and produce something that's beautiful. And the way the community has grown, I would have never thought the hobby would get to where it is today. Never would have thought this. I thought it was like, for who the hell's going to be into keyboards, right?
Yeah. Such a weird, I feel like when you look at it from an outside perspective, it's such a weird thing to get into. Like, that we spend so much time and energy into, like, such a, I guess, a weird device. In a sense, like, I don't know, it just sounds so weird to me to say that. We all talk about keyboards.
Yeah, keyboards, but what drives it is the people.
Yeah.
Mostly. Not the product. And again, not to gatekeep or anything like that, but when you lose that, what is it? It's just a keyboard again,
Yeah. Bandit said, hell yeah, stoked to meet you after all these years of talking. Yeah, I mean, you've literally been there since the heyday, so I am excited to put like all the faces to names that I've been able to talk to all these years. I'm so ready. Yeah. I'm so ready for Keeb Life. Me and Lubed are getting shirts made. Yeah, we have some fire merch for that. No Name says, I think that cheap boards have a super important place in this community. My first board was NK65 because of how much I was willing to put into something new. Without it, I wouldn't have started building boards. Now I have $500 Mammoth for just for the board. Without the $100 NK, I would never bought the Wuche. Yep. I mean, I agree. I literally started with a drop alt like so long ago. So without those budget boards, it's literally like the entry point. There's like, it's hard to justify spending $500 to $1,000 on, a keyboard you've never, like, you can't really appreciate. When you have these budget boards, it's easier to appreciate the boards that you get later down the road.
I have a question for you, for who said that, the chatter who said that. What is your perspective on, like, bigger companies, like what we're seeing with Corsair buying Drop, or with, like, Razer creating mechanical keyboards? Like, what's your perspective on that?
I also think, kind of going into that gamer market, I think what the mechanical keyboard hobby has done is so good for it. Like, it's made all these companies really step up their level and put out better products. I think that's one of the best aspects. Everyone is always supporting each other, helping each other. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the thing that I just see, like, also, I want to know, like, what compares to this really well. Water cooling for PCs, because when I first started water cooling, it wasn't as easy to get parts at all. like to get, you had to like get parts from the automobile industry to kind of water cool your PC. Like, it wasn't like today where you can get like radiators and all these companies, right? And I think we see that now with like all-in-one solutions, that people are able to kind of get that entryway with an all-in-one water cool solution, and then they graduate to like a full custom loop.
Also, just the amount of information that's out there to start your own loop, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Just-
Which I think right now is the battle in the keyboard industry. I think there's a battle for education, and as long as we keep that passion going and seek to inform buyers, I think that'll stand out the most too.
I think it is completely, it's like spending $200,000 on a car when you've never driven before, right? How would you know how special that car is if you've never, driven a Corolla before, per se?
That's a great analogy, actually. That's a great analogy. Well, it's kind of like, and also like the Cerakote video that you're doing. That's why
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it's really important to get people educated, because I think we're also seeing like a lot of YouTubers or influencers that are getting popular, that get popular on YouTube. They start to really promote outside of a few of those budget boards, and there's a lot of sponsorships and stuff. And I think getting people informed and educated on the higher end of the spectrum, like Cerakoting, custom work, I think is really important too.
Yeah, like especially like custom cables, right? Like, no one knows what makes our cables, like, because at the end of the day, there's no functionality benefits of our cables, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's just like,
sure.
What separates our products from, a $5 equivalent. And it's the same thing for keyboards. What separates the keyboards in the hobby compared to a $20? Like, no, if there was no information, then no one would know otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my thank you for the follow, Cosmic. That's my biggest battle right now too. I've told you that tons of times about the cables. Just how many customers that I get that are like, dude, holy cow! I didn't know. Like, I can't unsee it now, right? Like,
Yeah. Then you
especially
notice,
with-
right? Then you can never go back. Bandit
right,
said
you can't go back.
Bandit said a bad analogy. Got to smoke the $10 weed to reach the $50 crack. Which is true, right? No one's gonna do crack without doing any other drug.
The gateway drug.
Yeah.
Thank you for the follow, guys. Thank you, Bandit Tree. Thank you guys for hopping over, because I'll be streaming like off hours too, try to do some build stuff, and me and Lube are gonna do some stuff like off the podcast, because we actually enjoy this, so we're gonna do some other content for you guys. So follow me over at Wired Inside Twitch as well, and on YouTube, so you can kind of get different perspectives if we're doing like a dual build or something,
Yeah. And we also just love connecting with everyone. Yeah, basically Captain Sterling's going as an unpaid worker. That's what he's going on.
The photo slave.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I gotta fly down to Texas and break both of your balls.
You had to come run it during one of the keyboard
Sterling
meetups.
Sterling and I have probably more in common, because he's a dad like I am. So bring the kids down to do.
Okay, I am too. I don't know what you're getting at. Yeah, I got my dog.
Oh, that's right.
What's up, Kono? How are you? Sounds painful. Yeah, I don't know where my dog is, but she's probably somewhere out there begging for food.
Dude, I do not like these shims. I'm trying to clip in the AP stabs with the shims, and this is such a pain in the ass.
I've literally like never used them, so I couldn't even tell you.
I don't understand why make a 1.2 millimeter PCB. What's the point?
Well,
Six.
nowadays we're kind of like going away from 1.2 millimeter PCBs because it affects the sound. So
I know, and this has flex cut. I just don't get. I'm really like worried
that's like
this is not gonna
that's like
sound
2022 board.
Yeah, that's what I'm
2021.
saying. This is what happens when you This is what happens when it takes a year to get your keyboard, guys. You're like, what the hell? I didn't.
And then now everything that was like mainstream then is so out of date now.
So out of date, and that's kind of like something to talk about. Like that's something to address when we talk about companies that are doing like group buys and haven't delivered on their first group buy from like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Because like now it's like almost, Like, think about the Jelly keyboard, right, with the PE foam. Now everything has PE foam.
Better use foam unless you want to cry or using long poles.
Oh, no.
Captain, did you also have the Haven?
Is the Haven that bad?
What to sell Haven? Anyone want to buy Haven? How much is it selling for? 300?
Yeah, about to throw this on Mech Market. I'm building the Haven 65 right now, but
Thank you, Cosmic. Hey, Lubed, I saw that you changed the Serica service. Was it because of what do you mean we changed our Serica services? Would you be able to dive deeper into that?
yeah, we haven't changed shit.
We're always looking to improve, so any feedback that we, that people provide us is always gonna be able to help us out and make alterations so that people have more positive experiences. So we're always looking to improve on our end. No, just 1.2 millimeter PCB with flex cuts, guaranteed to be quiet unless you use foam or long poles. Probably. Happy to be proven wrong. Well, what switches are you building it with? You can use your Oil Kings like you do in every other build.
I should use Oil Kings, but these aren't long pole. These are the milky yellows.
Milky yellows, yeah, those are going to be a bit quiet. Is it soldered or hot swap?
It's hot swap, so maybe I'll go with something else. Maybe I'll
well,
do the
try those, and then see how you like them.
Yeah, true.
I mean, that's what hot swap. That's what the fun of hot swap is.
Yeah, I'm gonna use this board for like 10 minutes anyway until I get my ProTag PCB next week.
Oh, you said at the same time. Thanks.
Post went viral for some reason. That won't stop me from getting Cerakote commissions on my new. Yeah. I think the main issue with that Reddit post. I'm just gonna step in for you for a sec, Chris.
Go for it.
The communication issues, and it's a lot better now. I think at the end of the day, consumers and people in general just are really patient as long as they get an update. And I think that just having a little patience goes a long way as a customer as well. Just to kind of realize that, we're not big companies, right? Chris is not a huge mega organization. He's doing his best to try to be communicative. And his reply in that Reddit post, I think, was spot on. And I hope people don't continue to drag it out, because I could tell you from a third person, not just because I have a relationship with him, but he's really, really trying hard to fix any of those issues that those customers had. But it was more around communication rather than the service itself. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, we're always. I mean, my PMs are always open, so I always try to get to my PMs through the end of the day. Sometimes happens, sometimes it doesn't. Like this past week, we renovating we built a completely new paint booth so that for our Cerakote, so we have increased efficiency, increased quality, consistency throughout all of our commissions, and it'll just help speed everything up. So I spent the whole last week building it out in the 100-degree Texas heat for 8 hours a day, and by the time I was done, I was pretty beat. So but I mean, if you ever don't question, I'm not saying that these reviews are invalid. I sent that 3 weeks was 3 minutes ago. Thank you, bro. But I'm not saying that those that to negate those reviews. I'm just saying, that we're always trying to improve, and if you ever have any questions regarding any statements that are made, then feel free to reach out to us in my PMs or in the Discord server, and I'm more, at the end of the day, I'll make everything right with anyone that has any issue with their order. So
another thing is that's the whole point of this podcast as well too, is to kind of show face and be communicative with customers and people. And also, not for nothing, but you did rather, and I was there too, we did the AMA and not many people showed up, right? Like, so it was out there to hey, if you have a question or any feedback, we're here to listen. And unfortunately, didn't seem like too many people were interested in that. So.
But I think these podcasts have been doing pretty well. So I'm not bashing the customer either. I was more than happy to make things right with him. The PCB was broken, and I was more than happy to reimburse him for the broken little JST connector. So I think he did make an update and saying that all is well, and we were more than happy to help him out there, even if it's not public. At the end of the day, we're both consumers in this hobby, and we just want what's right at the end of the day. So I can completely fathom with basically anyone. But yeah, like Wiarden said, this is another reason why we do the podcast, is to, be able to communicate with the people who support us, and have any questions regarding anything. We're here to answer your questions. And I think that's what's awesome about this podcast, is we're able to do just that.
Yeah, and I think even I have a lot of corporate experience, and even in the corporate world, like it was like a known thing is like happy customers don't write reviews. Happy customers don't talk. It's usually just the people who have an issue who are motivated to say something, and usually that something is negative. So unfortunately, it drowns out, the hundreds and hundreds of good, experiences and communications you have. Unfortunately, those few times that you slip up, that noise can get pretty loud. And I think even after the customer responded in that Reddit, and said, hey, he fixed the issue, he addressed it, it kind of trailed off into more and more people kind of like, some of them not even being really warranted, I feel. It just starts to get nitpicky because, that kind of toxicity can spread. But at the same time, that doesn't mean it's unfounded. And the most you can hope is that a company says, hey, I hear you, I made a mistake, and I'm here to fix it. Because we all know what happens when that's not said, right? You get a Mexico or one of these companies that just ghosts you. So
For sure.
I think a lot's to be said by you actually trying to address it, at least in my opinion, right? I may be a little biased, but that's just my opinion.
No Name says, mixed thoughts on big companies buying drop, etc. I think that'll reach a larger audience, but I think the quality will go down. Yeah. Though new people won't even know it. Like, some will buy the expensive Corsair thinking they're getting something nice, but it'll just have the same name on it. But how else does keyboarding grow? I only got into it because one of my friends building boards.
Yeah, this is my favorite topic. I was really liking discussing this because I don't know what that does to the hobby, honestly. Because they're gonna want to move a lot of units. Are they using the community? Are they using the goodwill of the community and what we have built as a very niche group? But I think what it does say about the community that's good is that, hey, big companies are looking our way, looking at the hobby, right? So that means that the hobby's growing. They're not stupid. So if they're investing in the hobby, that means the hobby is in a good place. So if there's anything positive to take from that, I think it's that notion.
Also, I don't think Corsair's gonna come here and make a worse board for drop. Granted, the Synth 75 did not get all that great reviews, and it was not, it's a subpar board in my opinion. But I do think that the information and that drop has to provide to Corsair will be beneficial in the long run. And like Corsair doesn't seem that they'll be messing with keycac at all, which is good. Every time y'all say Mexico, I hear Mexico. Yeah, I was thinking that the same thing earlier. It's like Mexico. It's also kind of like the Tex-Mex server. Like there's like Texas Mechanical Keyboards, but for short, people say Tex-Mex. So it's just kind of funny. It's like a play on words.
Am I bugging? Are these shims supposed to go on the top of the PCB? They're supposed to go on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
I cannot get this through. Maybe I shouldn't use clip-ons then.
I'm full-time loop switches, so this is what I do basically from sun up to sundown, unless I'm handling other stuff. But I do spend most of my day just with loop switches. So, and it's an honor. I absolutely love what I do. I mean, in my mind, drop has already kind of sold out, and there is a vacuum between them and the hobby, which is true. From the fallout, generally seeming to care more about business than community. So Corsair buying them doesn't feel like much of a change.
Yeah, these shims are a nightmare. Let me. As for me, Cosmic, it's kind of tough for me to do it as a full-time gig because I have a career. I'm a VP of sales for a pretty big company. So I'd have to get wired into a certain level to justify it. I have 2 kids. I have 2 homes. So I'm in a little bit of a different situation, but that's the dream, right? Like, hopefully one day. But
Working for
right
yourself
now-
and being able to work for something that you're proud of.
Yeah, I think it's right now. It's just mostly fueled by passion.
What up, Jennifer?
Definitely not money.
I think we are starting to wrap things up though, because I have not had dinner. It's good to see the keyboard community expanding. Like people like Gion are making no money with their drops. Well, I mean that is an issue though, because I'm sure he does have to take care of himself.
Yeah, I think that's something to keep in mind. And people should seek to make money. It only hurts to set that expectation where margins should be extremely small and people aren't allowed to make a living. Again, just to harp on what I said earlier in reference to some people complaining or making comments about keyboard prices, despite the materials and the labor and everything that goes into it. Just because you know how much something costs doesn't mean that that's what the price should be. I think it's fair to expect people to want to make a little money,
It's
especially
not even
if
just
they're putting a lot of hard work into it.
I mean,
Yeah.
time is money. People got to pay for bills. It's not cheap to live. So, money does need to be making. If it's not making money, then it's simply just not sustainable.
Yep.
Granted, that money should be taken care of responsibly. But hot take, Corsair wants something like drop so they have a hobbyist. Yeah, I'm sure definitely Glorious played a big role in Corsair acquiring drop, because I'm sure Glorious makes a bunch of money. At least I know they did back in the day. For entry, I bought
that was a sad downfall. Go ahead.
I even bought the Glorious 75% board myself. I wanted to check it out and I wanted to see what the hype was. As someone in the hobby, I may oppose a purely business mindset of bottom lines, quick turnovers, but I want John to get paid and live well. I want designers to get paid and be able to live comfortably. Yeah, and I think as long as things are priced fairly, then I sure hope that everyone gets paid at the end of the day, and this community is able to sustain itself. I think that
and I think that's my like what you said about like bottom lines and quick turnovers. That's just what I fear with like a big company like Corsair coming in, because that's what they're gonna do, right? But at the same time, like the mantra "support small businesses" exists for a reason. Like, support small businesses. That's what this hobby is. It's all small businesses. And when I spend a little extra money on something, knowing that it's going, like I just changed my cable materials that I use. I'm spending more money on the cable materials that I'm using because they're more durable and they're made in the USA. It's made by a small business. So I want to support that small business, and I'm okay with spending a little extra money with certain people and certain makers within the hobby because I know that they're making that money, right? Like I feel good that it's
where your money's going.
It's a profit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
People want to support good people, so
exactly.
Glorious is the board I've built the most clients who have wanted one, and also clients just budget. But yep, it's budget and readily available. So it's a balance between caring about people, the art, and also practicing good business for yourself and others' sake. Yep, couldn't agree more. No Name says, true, I do think companies investing in
Mech is going to help it grow as long as they are listening to the community. One thing that is huge for this community is when you have a question and you email Loobed or Canon Keys or Mechland, you get a reply in a day. They help you and care about the people in it, and I'd hate to see that go away with big companies. I couldn't agree more, and I can't tell you how many customers I have that become like friends. I still talk to like, and Chris will tell you I never shut the fuck up. You probably tell from the podcast.
You don't have to listen for more than 5 minutes to figure that out.
Yeah, it's kind of, and that's how me and Chris got tight. Like, I met him. He was, an owner of a company, and you're like have a direct line to him, and all of a sudden now we're friends, and we FaceTime each other and do a bunch of other weird shit. So, it's great. It's great to have that in the hobby.
Complained to Wiredin for about 3 hours today, trying to, because I had to rebuild my whole entire PC for this stream because I wanted to get a capture card with 2 HDMI inputs, and then my last case didn't allow for me to have that capture card in my PC, so I had to rebuild. That's why my room is such a mess, because I just rebuilt a whole new PC today, basically. Trying to get this.
Kept you
I don't.
company.
Sorry, what's that?
I said kept you company.
Yeah, it kept me company, and yep, got that all resolved. I don't even have the glass or rear panel on, so I should probably get going on that. But I think I do kind of want to wrap things up so I can get some food in me before I head to sleep tonight.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna finish this. I'll probably finish this tomorrow. I'll run a quick stream tomorrow and finish this build if anybody cares and wants to see. Don't forget to.
So I didn't mean to like. I totally forgot you were building a board, so I didn't mean to like halt on that. But
No. My top down, the battery died, so.
okay.
I'll have it ready for tomorrow. But yeah, follow me over at twitch.tv/wiredInside. The link is pinned. If you guys want to check that out. And then I'm wiredinstore.com. I sell high quality cables. If you guys are ever interested, hit me up for a free one-on-one consultation. And I'm sure you all know Lube, so go ahead.
Yep, I think that's about it. We do appreciate everyone taking the time to watch the stream tonight, and it's always just such a pleasure being able to connect with the people who support us and the people in this community to see what's going on. And we're gonna turn around times with cables real quick. I believe that's a question for you.
Yeah, I got a lot in stock. Turnaround if you want Cerakote or something super custom is usually around 3 to 4 weeks, but we're getting quicker. Anything that's like stock or that you see one-click solution or something that runs like a stock connector, about a week. Yep, 7 days,
appreciate all you guys coming up. If you guys have any recommendations on how this could sleep well, thank you. On how we can improve the stream or whatnot, we're always more than happy to hear you guys. But I think that will round things up here.
Yeah, thanks guys. See you next week.
Y'all take care. We'll be back next Sunday, same time, everything for episode 4.
Yep, 10 p.m. EST, the only time zone that matters.
Good night.